Hey guys, so I'm finally at a point where I want to actually make a video on this because it's been enough months and just enough time altogether. I think in a little bit, I feel like it's probably been enough time for me to kind of not move past what has happened, but to just get a better control over how I feel about everything that's happened. So a lot of you have been asking for pregnancy updates from my last pregnancy. And yes, I said my last pregnancy. So basically, let's just go ahead and jump right into this because it's a really sad story. And yeah, so around December of last year, my dad started getting really sick. And, you know, I kind of felt like that, I just kind of felt like this was probably going to be it for him. Just from the way he was looking, just how he was just deteriorating just so quickly. So, and around that time, I was about 3 months pregnant, maybe, something like that. I was, you know, I was far enough along where I was like really excited and I was telling everybody and whatnot then. And he was really excited because I remember telling him I was pregnant and the first thing he said was like, "You giving me something to live for." So yeah. So fast forward, eventually around February, yeah, he had to be hospitalized. And he got some alarming news when he was in the hospital. They said that he had cancer. And I kind of assumed that he had cancer just from reading up on stuff and just looking at how he was at that time, compared to how he normally is. So yeah, so I found out my dad had cancer, and me being pregnant, I was just getting stressed out, and just, yeah, it was just a lot of stress just going on around that time. So fast forward to the end of March, my dad had a surgery and the cancer was all over him. And the doctors was like, there was nothing they could do at all. So they sent him home. He was good at home. His family came down to visit him, which was good because his family doesn't really come down a lot, which we don't really go that way either because they live in DC. We live in North Carolina. So it was just really good to see his family, because it was a, you know, even though it was a solemn occasion, they were coming down here. We knew it was going to be for the last time they were going to see my dad, but it was still nice to see them here during that time. So he stayed home for a couple of weeks and finally got to the point where it was just too much to handle on our own because I was helping my mom. I was coming down there every single day. I would get off work to help my mom take care of him. My siblings were taking off weeks at a time for work to just, you know, try to take care of him and spend as much time with him and help my mom and stuff all at once. And then eventually he had to be moved to hospice care. And you know, once you go to hospice, then you don't really come out of hospice. And my dad really didn't want to go to hospice because he knew what that was. He knew what that meant. Everybody who goes to hospice knows what that means. They know that this is where you're going to die. So we were kind of mentally preparing ourselves for just knowing that, you know, this was coming. But at the same time, I was still pregnant. At the same time, I'm pregnant. And I'm going to my appointments and stuff, and they start to see that my blood pressure is high. And I'm like, you know, it's probably because my dad is dying. And, you know, it's really stressful to have to go drive almost an hour every night after I get off work to spend down to go to my mom's house, my mom and dad's house, to take care, help them out and stuff while you're pregnant. So around April the 3rd, I had it was like a 23-week appointment. And before that, I kind of felt like something was wrong because like I have a home Doppler, and like I listened to it one day with my husband and I couldn't find anything on it. But I also knew that if I panicked, then he would panic because he has anxiety. He just gets, like, his anxiety is really, really bad. So I knew if I would have did anything that day, then he would have known what was going on. And I just kind of tried to brush it off because I was like, you know, nothing's wrong, whatever. So the morning of my appointment, I get to the doctor's office and they flip on the screen and nothing. The baby isn't moving, the baby's heart isn't going, and I'm looking at it and I know immediately that the baby's gone. The tech tries to like switch it off real quick. She tries to like do other little scans on the monitor, like she's doing other stuff to try to prevent me from seeing what I know I've already saw. And my husband still hasn't figured it out what was going on the screen yet. So eventually I ask her point blank, I'm like, is the baby dead? And she goes, I can't tell you that. The doctor has to come in here and look at it or do some checks or whatever. And then I like repeat it again because I was like, look, I already saw the screen. I already know what's going on. I would rather you just tell me, just direct. And so eventually she breaks down and she tells me, yeah, you know, the baby has passed away. So my husband, poor little Jason, he just breaks down. I've never seen that man just like wail and yell, and just so much emotion just came out because he was so excited. This was his little girl. Like, you know, we had a nursery already together. We had tons of clothes. We had everything. Like, my friends were playing in a baby shower. And then this happens. And in my mind, I'm just like, this is crazy. This, like, it was just a lot going on physically with me. And then the mental stress of my dad dying. Well, he hadn't died at that point. The mental stress of just knowing that my dad was dying. And then knowing on top of that, the one thing that he was trying to live for to see had already died as well. So, I calm my husband down. I tell him to be quiet. Like, I know it sounds bad when you say it like that. Like, I told him, you know, you got to calm down. You got to control yourself because there's other people in here who are pregnant right now. And they're already scared and we can't scare them. And I know it sounds horrible, but that's just how I am in situations like that. I don't want to show emotion. I don't want to bring attention to what we're going through. Like, and I knew that physically he was worse off than me. Even though I'm carrying the child, I knew that physically his emotions and the way he was at that moment was not in a good place. So the doctor finally came in there and she said, yeah, we think that, you know, you're suffering from preeclampsia, and that it's like early onset preeclampsia, because like I said, I was only about like 23 weeks at that time, maybe like 22, 23, something like that. So, you know, and preeclampsia usually doesn't come on until after 20 weeks, and to have it come on at that level, I think was just like all the stress that I was going through. Just all of it just compounded and just created just a fiasco inside my body. So anyway, I go to the hospital, and I have to go to labor and delivery because I have to give birth to my baby girl. So they give me some medicine. They induce me, and it doesn't take as long for contractions to start, and contractions really hurt. And they hurt more when you know that the contractions you're feeling, that you're thinking that you're normally going to feel when you're giving life to something, is for you to just deliver a baby that is dead. So yeah, so around 10 o'clock that night, I'm like fully dilated, and I feel something come out, but I'm also, by that time I've already had an epidural as well, so I'm numbed up, but I know I felt something come out. I think it was around like 9, more like 9 something. Because I'm numbed up and I feel something kind of slide out, but like I said, I'm numbed up and I don't really know what's going on, and my room is completely dark because I didn't want to have any lights on. I didn't want to be bothered. I just wanted to kind of lay there. Like, I really just wanted to lay there and just, I was a mess. By the time I got there, I was a real mess. But after about an hour, around like 10 something, the midwife came in there because I was under the care of a midwife. That's what I had chose to do. I didn't want like a traditional OB doctor because I just wanted something that was more like laid back and just relaxed, whatever. So my midwife comes in there, and she was like, I'm going to check you out to see how far along you are and see if the baby, and see, you know, about the baby. And she shines her light down there, and Arya is just laying there. And she had been laying there for over an hour because I didn't know. I mean, I kind of knew, but it was just like so much was going through my mind. I just didn't really, yeah. So she's born and they ask if I want to hold her. I say no. I asked my husband if he wants to hold her, and he says no. I think he said no because I said no. And that's one thing I regret to this day, never holding my baby. Never holding my little Arya. Because I was scared. And that's really all I can, that's the only feeling I had. Seeing her little body. Just seeing her little face and her little feet and her little hands. Just in the nurse's hand. And I was just scared. I was terrified. I didn't want to hold her. I didn't even really want to look at her. Because I don't know. So the nurse took her away to a place where they take babies who pass. They take them downstairs and they have a room where you can go visit the baby as often as you want until it is time for the baby to be transported. My mother-in-law, she goes down there, she visits the baby, she holds the baby, she takes pictures with the baby, she does all that stuff. But we never went down there. And I feel like a coward for not holding her and letting my emotions get the best of me at that time, but I just couldn't do it. I really couldn't do it. So after I deliver her and after she's downstairs in that little area, they start giving me more medications and stuff, because when I arrived at the hospital, my blood pressure was like dangerously high, like stroke level high. And they told me that I probably wouldn't be getting out of the hospital for a while, even after I gave birth, because they want to make sure that, you know, all the signs of preeclampsia kind of go away before before they release you. So 2 days go by. I'm in the hospital. I finally, yeah. I think so that first night on the 3rd, none of my family knew what was going on. Only person in his family that knew what was going on was his mom, because my husband's mom, because we had to have somebody to come here and take care of the dogs and just take care of the house and stuff while we were gone. So she was here, but the next day, and I didn't want to stress out my family because they were already dealing with my dad's stuff. So the next day I called my mom, and I'm just so mad. I just tell her, like, I just kind of blurted out, I'm like, the baby's dead. I'm like, Arya's dead. And I just snap on the phone at her. Like, she said something, and then I'm like, don't tell Dad, because I don't want him to know. I don't want him to stress out. I don't want him to, you know, I just don't want him to be burdened with it while he's in this time of transition. So by April the 5th, I'm feeling a little better, you know. I'm still just an emotional mess. I also had a crazy lady come into my room, which I will tell y'all about in another video, because I had to go to court. This lady had, the court granted a no contact order for this lady against me and the other women that she tried to go into their rooms, because she was in there trying to abduct babies. That's what she was trying to do. She came into my room, and she was like, I heard you had a baby. I'm like, my baby died. And she just like starts boohoo crying, and it's a whole lot, but we're not gonna go into that right now. So my sorority sisters are talking to me, and then Jason walks in the room. And he just kind of kneels down beside the bed. And in my heart, I already knew what he was going to tell me, because I had spoke to my dad's nurse the week before, and she told me he was in a transition stage. He only probably had about a week to live. And so I had been trying to mentally prepare myself for what was going to happen, but when it happens, you're never really ready, even if you know it's going to happen. It just makes it worse, because every day is just like a gamble. It's like, is this day going to be it? Like, I couldn't sleep. Like, during that whole period, I couldn't sleep. I wasn't really eating. I wasn't really taking care of myself the way I should have been. So Jason kneels down, and he tells me what I already knew, that my dad was gone. And it was the worst feeling I've ever experienced in my life. And I say that even after just giving birth to a stillborn, because it was like the icing on an already traumatic cake. It was like, how much can one person actually deal with at one time? Because I got my baby on this side, and then I got my dad, just both of them gone within 2 days of each other. And it was at that point, that was the first time I actually really just broke down completely. Like, I cried so hard, my nose started bleeding. They had to give me like medication to make me just go to sleep, because it was just too much. Even though I knew it was coming, I didn't know that Arya was coming. So adding that on top of the already open wound, just adding my dad on top of that, it was just too much for me. So, you know, So after my dad dies, I started thinking about what am I gonna do? Like, my family is already starting to plan funerals. Like, we had already started kind of pre-planning the funeral because, like I said, we kind of knew it was coming. But, and then I was like, but what about Aria? Like, are we gonna have her funeral? And then it kind of clicked in my head. I was like, my dad waited around for his grandbaby to get here. And even though she didn't get here the way he thought she was going to get here, he waited around for her. And we made a decision to bury them together and let him hold her. With him holding her in his arms. And I thought, like, it's weird to say that it was perfect, but it was perfect. It was exactly what he would probably have wanted to happen. He would have wanted to be with his grandbaby because he loved all his grandkids. Like, my dad had tons of grandkids, but for so long he had been waiting and praying and hoping that, you know, I would get pregnant, because I was the last one out of my 6 siblings to not have any kids. And yeah. So we picked out an urn for my baby, or for Aria. We picked out her urn. And we delivered it to the funeral home where my dad was. And it was just so weird seeing them just on the day of the funeral, the day of the wake. It was the first time I had seen my dad since about maybe that Sunday before I went to the hospital, because I was going to the hospice like every day basically. And I just broke down because I saw my dad and I saw my baby just in the same box with each other. But even though I was sad, I felt some comfort knowing that they were on this journey together. And yeah, I felt we all, the whole family, felt a lot of comfort knowing that both of them were together. That, you know, the baby got that's part of what I said at the funeral. Like, I spoke at the funeral. I don't know how I got through it. But like, I wrote this like whole thing out, what I wanted to say. And then as soon as I stepped to that podium, I was just like, I just froze. And it was just like, I was just so overwhelmed and overcome with emotion. Just, it was like, that was the finale. That was the last time you're gonna see your baby. That's the last time you're gonna see your dad. And I talked about this. I talked about some of that stuff at the funeral. I talked about, you know, just how my dad had waited for so long for this baby, and how he had made me a promise. In December, he said he was going to be around till this baby was born. And he was. And it's beautiful and it's sad at the same time to think about it, but I don't want to say I'm glad, but I didn't want her to suffer. Obviously preeclampsia was horrible on her, and it was horrible on my body, and yeah, I didn't want her to suffer. So, you know, the next few weeks will the day that Arya died, we had decided that we weren't gonna give up, and that, you know, what's for us is for us. Even though this was another roadblock in our story, in this long journey that has been going on for years now, we weren't gonna give up. So I was out of work for about 7 weeks, maybe, because maybe 2 months, maybe eight weeks total, or something like that, because I had to recover. And no, I think I was out of work for like 6 weeks, and then I got bored at home because I wasn't doing nothing but sitting here crying and sitting here drinking all my wine, which wasn't healthy for me. Like, I wasn't really handling the death of Arya and the death of my dad very well. So I decided to go back to work. And I went to work on a light duty assignment because there was no way mentally that I was prepared to be a police officer again in the mental state that I was in. Because I was grieving. Like, I was dealing with a double whammy of trauma. And nobody in their right mind would expect me to just come back. Well, I can't say that, because a lot of people expected me to just be able to just snap out of it and get back to work. But I'm just happy that I had some good people on my side that really pushed and, you know, made it so I could be where I am right now. So during the time that I was on my light duty assignment, we had already decided that we weren't going to give up. We were going to continue trying to have a baby. And like, my doctor laughed at me. She was like, girl, you just don't give up. You don't give up at all, because it sounds bad. But I was like, can we try again? Like, I asked her that day. Like, my doctor, I forgot, yeah. Like, all my doctors came in. My doctors were, yeah. So I had asked her, could we try again? And she was like, yeah, just have to wait a couple of weeks, you know, let your body heal up from this pregnancy. And then you can try again. There's nothing preventing you from trying again. And yeah, I found out that I'm pregnant again. And it was a total surprise, because it was right before my promotional ceremony at work, because I was getting promoted and I was already scared about just getting promoted at this time where I am literally just a walking time bomb of emotion. And come to find out, I'm pregnant. And it was a really big surprise. Not that we were preventing anything and we weren't trying to not be pregnant, but it was just a big shock, because y'all know it took forever the first time. It seemed like forever the second time, and then this time it was just like, bam, you pregnant. But with this pregnancy, I was terrified. With this pregnancy right now, I was terrified the whole like first half of it. But like, when we got to 14 weeks, 13, like, I didn't tell anybody anything. I didn't make announcements. I just was like, I don't know how to feel. I really didn't know how to feel when I first found out I was pregnant. And it took me a long time to get to a point where I was actually comfortable with this pregnancy. And just comfortable with the whole entire situation, because everything scared me. I was scared to go to appointments. Like, luckily my husband could come to every appointment with me. He's only missed 2 appointments since we've been pregnant this time. And I know it's really stressful for him, because every time we go to the place where we found out had died, it's just really traumatic for him. And I think it was traumatic. It stopped being as traumatic until I got to the point where I could actually feel this baby moving. And I never really got to do that with Arya. Even though she was so far along, I think she was always just so small. Because she was small when she was born. But I think because she was so small that I just never could really feel her. But this baby, this baby is just like, he is a big one so far. And I definitely feel him all day long. I feel him at night. I feel him whenever. He has some powerful little kicks. And it comforts you to just be able to feel that. Like, I haven't used my Doppler in like months now because I can actually feel him and I know that he's okay. So this long video is basically to say that yeah, it was not a good summer for me. It was not a good, you know, spring or summer. It was not a good previous pregnancy, but this pregnancy is perfect so far. I can't complain about anything. My blood pressure has been perfect. Everything's been fine. It's been basically more than I could really dream of with the way this pregnancy has handled itself. I didn't get morning sickness. The only thing that really bothered me around the first trimester was just being super tired. And I'm always tired anyway because I don't really sleep a lot because I have insomnia. But this was beyond that. Like, I was just like a zombie walking around. And then it eventually kind of tapered out once I got to the second trimester. And once I got far along where, you know, my body was just like used to what was going on now. So yeah, I really haven't had any real issues. The only thing I have now is just like pelvic pain because my pelvis is like, hey girl, we're getting ready to have this baby in a couple of months and we're trying to prepare you for this right now by going ahead and stretching your stuff out. So yeah, we're really excited now. I think just getting through the trauma and just getting through everything that's happened, it's definitely brought us closer together, me and my husband, but it's also made us just really, it's just really made us love this baby even more than what we could have ever, than what we ever thought we could really feel for something. Because, you know, after you go through so much tragedy, and then you finally find a ray of light within that tragedy, like, you just kind of grasp onto it and you just cling to it for dear life. And this baby is our light. Like, I don't really talk to him yet because I feel weird doing it sometimes. I talk to him sometimes when we're in like appointments and stuff to turn over or to roll over or whatever, but yeah. But I'm really happy now. He will be here at the end of February, so it's not that far along now because it's already November. It's already, Thanksgiving is next week, so he ain't got much longer up in there, you know. And I'm really excited. We're really excited. We're just grateful and thankful that we have been blessed again with another chance to start our family, with another chance to have a baby. And yeah, I just feel really like I couldn't have asked for a better pregnancy so far, honestly. And I know a lot of people look at pregnancies like they talk about all the good things of pregnancy. I've already been through the worst with previous pregnancies. I've already been through that twice. I don't want to have to just live on that, like, oh my gosh, every pregnancy is horrible. I'm grateful to have an easy, laid back pregnancy. The Lord knew what I needed and he knew what I could handle at this time, because anything else would not have been good for me right now, probably. But yeah, I'm grateful and I'm happy. And we're just grateful and happy. Our nursery is done. My mural is done. I painted this mural. Well, I drew this mural out a couple of years ago because I've been working on this nursery since our first child, our first pregnancy in like 2015 was when we got pregnant the first time. And I've been working on that nursery since 2015. So, you know, it wasn't going to be a lot for us to finish it, but I just never had, I'd already drew out what I wanted the mural to be, but for the last 3 years, I had just left it blank. I hadn't painted it, and I always told myself that when this mural is painted, I'll be able to bring a baby in it. And I don't know. And now that it is painted, it's complete. It's just like everything's perfect. The floors are done in there. The crib is up. The bookshelf is up, filled with books. You know, the only thing I have to do now is make new covers for the rocking chair and the ottoman. And get some more decorations and stuff. But all in all, it's done. And it's just such a great feeling to just know that this baby will be able to come into something that's already complete, that's not going to have me stressed out, that's not going to have any of us stressed out, because we've been working on this. It was our testament. It was our, like, testimony, basically. And I think it took a lot of people never really understood that, why I left it up for 3 years and why I just kept continuously working on it, because this was my mustard seed. That room across the hall from here, that's always been my mustard seed. That was me living by faith and knowing that eventually I was going to get a baby to put in there. And now, even with me having so many girl clothes and stuff laying around, like, I tried to get some of them away, and my mom was like, no, you need to keep them for when you get pregnant again with your little baby girl, because, you know, you've had faith in so much stuff, and, you know, they have faith now that, you know, we're gonna get, the next baby's probably gonna be a girl. Which, you know, either way, if it's a girl or a boy, at this point, I'm gonna be happy. But I do really want a girl, and my husband really wants a girl too after this baby. And next year I'll be like 33. So I'm having my Jesus year, and I really want to just go ahead and do it back to back, kind of. So I'm hoping that after I breastfeed him once he's born, you know, we can get the ball rolling again, because we just want a big family. And I know, I don't know, I've always had this dream of just having 3 kids and just, you know, living our life. But yeah, so we are happy. And I hope this update was good for y'all, because it is super long and my camera has already died once filming this. I'm surprised it has not died again when filming this portion, but we are seriously happy. I'm just excited. I'm really excited. I'm excited to just do boy things now. Like, I'm already practicing. Like, I put my phone on my belly. Like, I'm like, you lifting weights to prepare to go to play at the University of Georgia one day. I don't know what position you're gonna play, but that's what we want you to go to school at one day, so we can go to games and I can be in the stands cheering for my baby. Like, that's my baby. That's my baby. Yeah. Even though we didn't go to that school, we both went to UNCW. But my husband's from Georgia, and he's like a Bulldog fanatic, and basically I have become one too. So yeah, future little baby, little baby boy, we want you to go there, get you some scholarships, be real smart, and, you know, go to UGA. Not Alabama. No sir. But yeah, so we're really happy, and we're truly blessed. Like, there's no other words to say how this just, there's no other words to explain what we are. Like, we are really blessed, and I hope that this has touched somebody. I hope that somebody has heard what I have been through and just learned that, you know, to never give up, even though people tell you, like, people told me that I was infertile, that, you know, it was gonna be like, the last 2 pregnancies have been pregnancies that were on my own. I didn't have any medications. I didn't have to do anything special. Nothing. I did go steaming. I did do yoni steaming a couple of times before this pregnancy happened, which was really, really helpful, and it really just kind of got things wrapped up. But yeah, like, I really didn't do any real medical interventions with these last 2 pregnancies, so that was a blessing on itself, like, just to know that my body can do what it needs to do. But anyway, guys, I think that is a long enough video. I think that's a long enough update, and I think you probably cried enough by now, or if you probably even stopped the video by now. But yeah, we are gonna have a baby. We should have a baby pretty soon. I'm almost to the 3rd trimester now, and it's looking real good, and I'm hoping that everything stays good. But that is basically all, guys. And I'll talk to you later.